excited to welcome here to the stage creative director Paul Sage. Suffice it to say that we are all incredibly excited about this. So let's dive into it. Where and when does this game take place?
So this game takes place 1,000 years before Skyrim, and actually it takes place before an emperor has actually risen to take on the empire. So this is a place where it's a little bit chaotic. There's a lot of factions fighting for control, so players get to choose to be in a faction in the game.
How many factions are we going to be able to choose from?
So you'll be able to choose from 3 factions. We have the All-Merry Dominion, we have the Daggerfall Covenant, and also there is the Ebonheart Pact, which is made up of the Dark Elves, the Nords, and the Argonians. So you get to play all the races.
I like it. Okay, so right now we're actually looking at some footage from the game. What are we looking at right here?
So what you're seeing now is Daggerfall. So Daggerfall, you haven't seen probably in 15 or 20 years. So you can see that all of our environments are handcrafted. The art style is just amazing. It's been fun to actually take on these environments that span the breadth of Tamriel that players haven't seen in a long time. So
for an MMO, you have to create a gigantic world. You're like, I know this already.
Yes.
I mean, how are you approaching that?
So the world it's one of those things where, again, there's a lot of environments. So it's the breadth of Tamriel. So what we're doing is we do a lot of research into the lore, making sure that players have locations that they've seen before, and also locations they haven't seen. So it's a lot of lore and just a lot of love going into each location.
Okay, a huge part about Skyrim, for example, was the level of customization that you can do for your character. Are you going to kind of have that same level of depth in this game?
Absolutely. So the level of customization that we've got expresses itself in a lot of ways. There can be choice in quests as part of it, and things that you'll find during quests that'll actually affect the way your character grows in the game. But not only that, your character and specifically has abilities that they have, and so you'll slot your abilities as you decide, this is something important, this is something I want to do. And so the level of customization is really high for not just your start, but actually how you play and how you progress the game.
Is it kind of going to go to the Skyrim model where you don't necessarily have to pick everything from the very beginning?
Yeah, you'll get to pick, like it is a class-based game, so you get to pick your class, but then you'll grow into the abilities that you want, and there'll be things that you get to do, like we'll have a perk system. That is something, maybe there might be turning into a werewolf or a vampire or something that comes out that way, so it's a lot of fun. So
let's talk about leveling up and that kind of thing. How is that going to progress?
So as you level up in the game, you'll have let's say the abilities that we've talked about before. So you'll have a selection of, this is the ability that's important to me, this is the one I want, and so you'll get that ability, and then, as I said before, you'll gain expertise in that ability. So you really end up growing your character the way you want. You actually get to play the game the way you want to play.
Okay, so let's talk actually about gameplay, since we're talking about playing the game. What is it? Are we talking about real time? Are we talking about, are we hitting buttons? Are we making macros? Like, what's the general overview idea of this?
So combat's one of the big things for us. So we've taken away a lot of the interface elements that are pretty common in a lot of online games, and we've made it so you're actually looking into the world. The world is beautiful and we want you to play it, but more than that, we want combat to feel active and reactive. So we have things like block that you have in Skyrim, and we have these things like you can crouch anytime, you can sneak, you can sprint. And all of these little mechanics actually tie up to things that the AI does. So an AI might, or an enemy might, throw down oil in front of you, and you have to decide, okay, I've got to move out of this oil because he's got a fire mage friend right behind him that'll light it on fire. So our AI works together to, defeat the player, and the players also get to work together. So they have abilities that work the same way. You set another player up, you'll throw a firestorm out, and another player will run in and be able to enhance that ability. It's really fun because it creates what we're calling synergy abilities in the game.
Now, are we going to see your traditional class archetypes, like you have a tank or a glass cannon and a healer and that kind of thing?
So you could potentially play that way, but that's not what we're going for. We're actually going to where you can customize the character for situational things, like, okay, this is the way I want to approach 3 different enemies, and oh, there's a different 3 enemies here. So I'm going to customize my class and my character the way I want to. So there's also going to be no restrictions. If you don't have a healer in your party, for instance, it's not going to penalize you. You're going to be able to play. You're going to be able to play the way you want to play.
All right. Are there going to be dragons?
At this time, since we're sticking to the lore, there are no dragons in the second era. Or well, there are.
Okay, fine. That's an excellent point. Okay, so I think what everybody really wants to know is when are we going to be able to start taking arrows to the knee?
We're going to do that in 2013.
2013. I can't possibly wait that long, but thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. I'm crushing my card in ink.